just been thinking about the idea of kind of like the impermanence of life, and people seem to have midlife crises. I don't know how you say that. When people kind of live their life up until around the middle of it, and then it's almost like they kind of realize at that point that they're going to die. It's kind of harsh to say. Like people will forget for the first half of their life that they're actually going to die at some point. It's like maybe it's you're so intensely focused on getting the perfect life, or like trying to make a life for yourself, that you forget that it is actually not gonna last forever. It isn't. It's impermanent. You know, everything is like this. The entire universe is like that, and it's easy to forget sometimes that nothing really matters in the grand scheme of things. And this can be viewed, a couple of different ways. You could think such a negative thought. You could think that's kind of depressing to think about, but it's kind of like I think that a lot of people's problems stem from the fact that they think everything matters so much. But if you take a step back and you kind of look at life in general, and you realize that nothing matters, and you realize that eventually the sun is going to expand into a red giant, and it's going to swallow the entire earth. Everything that you think matters, everything that you think is important to you, all of these morals you've got, all of these things you have, or things that you've discovered, everything you've learned about the world, it's kind of irrelevant, really. I mean, even if humans were to make a way to a different planet eventually, and maybe they were to take some of the knowledge that we've gained over there, the universe is expanding at a constant rate, an exponential rate, I believe. Eventually, maybe a few million years down the line, everything will be so far apart from each other that chemical reactions aren't possible, that nothing can exist, nothing can coexist, nothing can be created anymore, nothing can really be destroyed, everything's just kind of separate. And you could argue that that's kind of a bit depressing, but it's the reality of it. This is kind of the reality of the world. That is what's going to happen. And I think people get very bogged down in the idea of thinking that every decision that they make is so serious, everything's so final, and like it all matters on a grand scheme of things. But even if you change the world, even if you solve a huge problem in the world, it doesn't really mean anything, because everything's going to die. Like everything's going to eventually break down and decay, and it doesn't matter. So what's the point then? Like, what's the point of even existing? What is the point of doing anything if none of it's even going to matter? What's the point of going to the gym if you're going to die? Like, what's the point of helping someone, or being nice to people, or even getting out of bed in the morning? You could argue, like, what's the point of it? But there isn't a point. There isn't a point. I mean, you can create points for it, but they're all irrelevant as well. So you just do it because you just do it. Like, you just do it because why? Like, why not? What's the alternative? There isn't one. There isn't an alternative. I mean, maybe there is, but if you'd like to let me know, that would be cool. But I definitely don't think there is an alternative. So go to the gym to go to the gym. You don't go for any other reason than that. I mean, you can go to work on yourself. You can go to improve your body, but your body's going to eventually get old and withered and weak and frail, and things will break and fall apart, and then you'll die. So it's like, you should be able to go to the gym with the full intentions that you're going to eventually have a body that's useless. So you're not trying to get anything out of it. You're not trying to like be the best version of yourself to stop that from happening. You need to just be okay with the fact that it doesn't matter, but you just do it anyway, because why the fuck not? Why the fuck not? But I think, if you view the world kind of from this more grand way of viewing things, it does definitely get rid of a lot of the small, I want to say petty problems that you're having, or like maybe more of the selfish problems that you're having, where you think of things in your head and they feel so serious and they feel so heavy and they feel like they have such importance, but like they don't really, and that's fine, you know. They don't. But by all means, go about your day in the best possible way that you can. But you can use this perspective. Like, let's say something was to happen to you in the day, like you to get cut up, or like someone's really rude to you, or you lose something you really enjoyed, that you really loved. If you bring your awareness back to the fact of like the impermanence of the universe, the fact that everything is eventually going to decay, right? Everything's going to disappear. It's like it kind of just brings you back to the reality of it never really mattered anyway. You know, it was the value that you assigned to it at the time because you viewed it as important, but like it was bullshit. You know, it was complete bullshit. I guess you could also say there was never a time, or there was never a universe in which that didn't happen. You know, unless you say your imagined future or your imagined version of what should have happened would be different to what happened, can kind of lead to internal problems and distress and things like that. Like if you expected to leave your house and get in the car and drive to work with no problems, and then there is a problem in the middle, it leads to chaos. It makes you feel uncomfortable because now the day isn't going to plan. But there was never a version of the day that didn't go like that. You know, the version of the day that was in your head that it was supposed to be like, it never existed. It was made up. It was like an imaginary story that you told yourself. Um, and to kind of get irritated with the fact that it hasn't turned out like that is almost madness when you view it like this. You know, it's almost madness because then also you're expecting the day to be up here, and then from here it can only ever really come down. You know, it can only really ever come down. If there was something that you have been meaning to do that you can't seem to get yourself to do, or there's something that you just keep putting off, maybe it's something that you really don't want to do because it's uncomfortable. It's just like, if you realize the fact that you are going to die eventually, you can almost live every day. I don't want to say like the cliche thing, like live every day like it's your last, but if you literally just live every day with no expectations from the future, you're not expecting to gain anything from anything in the world that happens to you, you know? Like everything in the world is constantly like it's at odds with each other. Like everything is always it's always changing. The only thing that's ever really constant in this world is like your awareness right now, like being aware of this moment, being aware of this moment right now. You can imagine your life being from the start to the end. Of course, you know the beginning because it was when you were born. In the future, you kind of it feels more abstract because you don't really know what it is. But in reality, where you are right now, in the middle, in your present moment, the only thing that has ever existed. It's the only thing that can ever possibly exist. Everything else is a story that you're telling yourself about what could happen in the future. Or it's you remembering the past, which was presenting itself to you in the present until the new present took its place, and then the new present takes its place. It's like an ever-ending play button of life, but there is no other scenes. You know, there is no other scenes. Like, you can take photographs and you can take videos of the world and you can take memories of it like that. You're only just taking images of the present moment when they were there. And then when you remember them, you're remembering them now. You're accessing neurons that you're using right now. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with this. I'm just having a nice little chat about life and philosophy.